Join me as I try to navigate the chaos of family dynamics after my daughter-in-law threw a fit about doing chores. You're not going to believe what happened in my own home. It all started with something as simple as household chores, but it turned into one of the most shocking disagreements I've ever had with my daughter-in-law. At first, I thought it was just a small misunderstanding, but the way she reacted when I asked her for a little help left me completely speechless. And that's exactly why I wanted to share this story with you. Because I know many of you have dealt with similar situations when it comes to family, responsibility, and respect under one roof. Now, before I dive into what happened, let me set the stage. My son and his wife moved in with us temporarily. The plan was that they'd stay for a few months while saving up for their own place. Naturally, I welcomed them with open arms. After all, family should be there for each other, right? At first, everything seemed fine. But soon the issue of household chores started bubbling up, and that's where things took a very unexpected turn. Here's the thing. Running a household takes teamwork. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, dishes. It's a lot for one person to handle. And I don't mind doing my share. I've been keeping up with my home for years. But when more people are living under the same roof, the responsibilities multiply. I thought it was only fair that everyone pitched in a little. Just simple things like washing dishes after a meal, helping with laundry, or tidying up the common areas. So one afternoon, after finishing up a long day of cooking and cleaning, I gently asked my daughter-in-law if she could help with the dishes. Nothing demanding, just a polite, "Could you give me a hand with the kitchen tonight?" But instead of a yes, or even a simple excuse, her reaction absolutely stunned me. She looked at me and said, "That's not my responsibility. I didn't come here to do chores." I couldn't believe my ears. I thought maybe she was joking, but her tone made it clear she was serious. The room fell silent, and for a few seconds I just stood there in shock. Here I was, exhausted from managing everything, and my request for a little help was brushed off like it was nothing. Now, let me pause here and ask you, what would you have done in that moment? Would you have argued back right away? Would you have stayed quiet to keep the peace? I'll tell you what I did, but I want you to think about how you'd handle it. Drop your answer in the comments because I really want to know if I overreacted or if you'd feel the same way I did. Back to the story. I took a deep breath and calmly explained why I was asking. I said, "We're all living here together, and it would mean a lot if we could share the responsibilities. It makes things easier for everyone." But instead of understanding, she doubled down. She told me she didn't want to be treated like a maid, that she already worked hard during the day, and that household chores weren't her job. That's when I realized this wasn't just about dishes. It was about respect. In any family, whether it's parents, children, or in-laws, there has to be a balance of give and take. And when one person refuses to contribute, it creates tension that affects everyone. The disagreement quickly turned into a full-blown argument. My son tried to step in, but even he looked caught between defending his wife and understanding my point of view. The atmosphere in the house changed instantly. What was once a warm, welcoming environment now felt heavy with unspoken frustration. I won't lie to you, I felt hurt. Not because she didn't want to wash dishes, but because of the attitude behind it. It wasn't about the chore itself. It was about what the chore represented. It was about consideration, teamwork, and respect in a shared space. And when she refused, it felt like she was saying, "Your effort doesn't matter. I'm not part of this responsibility." Now here's the shocking part. Instead of apologizing or trying to make peace, she went upstairs, slammed the door, and refused to speak to me for the rest of the night. Can you imagine the tension in the house? Every time we crossed paths, it was awkward silence. The next morning, she avoided me completely. And this is where the story gets even more complicated. Over the next few days, little things started piling up. Dishes left in the sink, clothes thrown on the couch, empty cups sitting around. I found myself cleaning up after not just her, but both of them, while they acted like it wasn't their responsibility. The resentment grew stronger, and I started questioning myself. Was I being unreasonable? Or was I simply asking for basic respect? Let me stop again here, because I know many of you watching have gone through something similar. Maybe not with a daughter-in-law, but with roommates, siblings, or even your own kids. When people don't pull their weight, it creates stress and resentment. And when you try to talk about it, suddenly you're painted as the bad guy. Have you noticed that? It's almost like bringing up the issue makes you the problem, instead of the actual lack of cooperation. So, after a few days of this tension, I decided I couldn't stay silent any longer. I sat down with my son privately and told him how I felt. I explained that this wasn't about chores, but about respect and teamwork. He listened quietly, but when I asked him to talk to his wife, his response shocked me again. He said, "Mom, I don't want to upset her. She already feels uncomfortable living here." And that's when it hit me. If I didn't stand up for myself and set clear boundaries, this cycle would continue. I realized that sometimes in families we avoid conflict to keep the peace, but in the long run, it just makes the situation worse. So I decided to have one final honest conversation with my daughter-in-law. I told her calmly, "I care about you. I welcomed you into my home, but living together means sharing responsibilities. I'm not asking for much, just for everyone to contribute a little." That's what family does. And do you know what she said? She rolled her eyes and muttered, "Fine. Whatever." Not exactly the heartfelt resolution I was hoping for, but at least it was something. Since then, things have been a bit better. She helps out occasionally, though not consistently. The tension hasn't completely gone away, but at least the issue is out in the open. And I've learned an important lesson. Sometimes you have to speak up, even if it causes discomfort, because staying silent only builds resentment. Now, if you've made it this far, here's my biggest takeaway. Chores may seem small, but they represent something much bigger. They represent respect, teamwork, and appreciation. When someone refuses to help, it's not just about dirty dishes, it's about the message it sends. And if you don't address it, that message can slowly damage relationships. So let me ask you one more time. How would you handle this situation? Would you confront your daughter-in-law directly? Would you leave it alone for the sake of peace? Or would you set firm boundaries, even if it created conflict? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, because this is not just my story. It's something many families struggle with. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more real-life family experiences, and share it with someone who might relate. Because trust me, this won't be the last time we talk about family, respect, and the challenges of living under one roof. Thanks for watching until the end. Your support means more than you know. And remember, whether it's chores, communication, or respect, family